Stop. What if the fate that's been crushing you is not a decree, but a veil? Today, we tear it apart. Have you ever paused to reflect upon the hidden currents of existence? Behind the sacred veil of ancient wisdom and the path of the healer, there lie truths waiting to be unraveled. In this journey, we shall contemplate the profound resonance of the 5th verse of Surah Al-Fatiha and the 129th verse of Surah At-Tawbah, forces that govern the very fabric of our lives. Have you ever felt it? Those seasons where destiny seems to close in upon you, heavy and unyielding. No matter how hard you strive, the path remains obscured. The same trials resurface. The same wounds are reopened by the same shadows in human form. Abundance becomes a fleeting whisper, and peace, a distant memory. You feel as though for every door that cracks open, 3 more are slammed shut by an unseen hand. But ask yourself, is this truly the decree of your fate? Or is it merely a shroud drawn over it, a veil waiting to be lifted? Today, we shall peer into the esoteric depths of the 5th verse of Surah Al-Fatiha and the 129th verse of Surah At-Tawbah. To understand these 2 verses in their truest essence is to witness the swift dissolution of the burdens we carry. Do you know what unfolds when these 2 sacred vibrations unite within a soul? First, the servant casts aside the cold chains of despair. Second, the hidden gates of destiny begin to swing open. The divine intervention of the Creator descends upon the life of the seeker, and they become a vessel for a grace that transcends the material world. Within the intricate cycles of our existence, there are 3 distinct blockages, 3 veils of obstruction that bind our spirit. What are these shadows that hold us captive? The first is the cycle of recurring fate, the haunting return of the same wounds in your unions, the repeated loss of prosperity, the same faces wearing different masks, and the relentless echo of the same trials. It is a wheel of misfortune that turns without end. The second is the state of stagnation and obstruction, those seasons where the river of life ceases to flow. No matter the effort, no progress is made. It is as if time itself has frozen, locking your existence in a silent, unyielding cage. And the third, the sealed gates. You pray, yet the heavens seem silent. Opportunities become invisible ghosts, flickering just beyond your reach. Sustenance may flow, yet its blessing, its barakah, evaporates like mist. At every turn, an unseen wall stands tall. When faced with these shadows, the weary heart whispers, "This is my destiny." And so, they wander through the years, bound by the very cycles they believe to be unchangeable. But listen closely, this is not your destiny. This is but a shroud, a heavy veil drawn over the brilliance of your true path. At the heart of this mystery lie 2 keys, the 129th verse of Surah At-Tawbah and the 5th verse of Surah Al-Fatiha. Together, they possess the power to tear through the shrouds that bind us. The declaration begins with the 129th verse of At-Tawbah. Hasbi Allahu la ilaha illahu. Allah is sufficient for me. In the sacred traditions of the esoteric sciences, this is known as the great call for swift intervention. When a soul utters these words with a pure heart and a sincere intention, the invisible world begins to stir. Observe what unfolds. First, the obstructions and blockages that once stood like mountains begin to dissolve. Second, hidden adversaries, be they of the seen or unseen realms, lose their grip as their shadows fade into the light. Third, the heavy veils of spiritual burdens, envy, and unseen influences are lifted, restoring clarity to your path. Fourth, the horizons of your sustenance expand, making room for true abundance. Fifth, the seeker becomes aligned with the support of the Malakut, the celestial realm. And finally, a divine protection is activated, surrounding the soul with a fortress that no darkness can penetrate. The great master, Ibn Arabi, speaks of this sacred resonance. When the servant truly places their trust in the divine, the pen of destiny begins to move anew. guided by that very trust. We must hold the secret of At-Tawbah 129 close to our hearts. Beside it stands the 5th verse of Surah Al-Fatiha, the verse of absolute surrender and the reshaping of fate.
إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين.
You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help. This is the ultimate declaration where the seeker surrenders their will, their future, their deepest fears, and their highest aspirations to the Creator. It is the oath of the soul, finding peace in whatever the divine decrees. To the masters of Sufism, this verse is the key that opens the book of destiny. Imam Ghazali once said, "For the one who utters this verse with the fullness of their being, their fate begins to be written once more." Therefore, my dear friends, we must weave these 2 verses into the very fabric of our lives, our tongues, our hearts, and our minds. But let us look deeper. Let us explore the psychological horizon of these blockages, those dark cycles we mistake for fate. How does modern psychology interpret the mystery pointed to by these sacred verses? What lies beneath the surface? What most perceive as fate is often nothing more than the relentless repetition of subconscious patterns. These are the deep-seated beliefs carved into our minds during the echoes of childhood. I am unworthy. Joy is not meant for me. No one truly loves me. I am destined to lose. I always find the wrong people. Listen closely. Unless these internal echoes change, the external world will remain the same. You will encounter the same shadows, the same obstacles, and the same heartbreaks again and again. In the tradition of Sufism, there is a profound truth. First, change your belief, and your destiny shall follow. We often seek the journey outside, yet the labyrinth is within. To gaze into the depths of one's own inner world requires a courage that few possess. But for the one who dares to look, a true transformation begins. By etching the essence of At-Tawbah 129, Allah is sufficient for me, into the subconscious, we dissolve the roots of unworthiness. And by anchoring our fears and anxieties in the 5th verse of Al-Fatiha, in you alone we trust, and from you alone we seek aid, we break the chains of the past. When these 2 sacred frequencies align, the loops we once mistook for destiny shatter, and a pristine page of life begins to turn. Let us now reveal the specific mysteries of these 2 verses, starting with how the 129th verse of Surah At-Tawbah accelerates the manifestation of divine help in our lives. Therefore, as we breathe life into these verses, we must embrace this awareness. A hidden sanctuary awaits within these words. The influence of unseen adversaries begins to wither. The heavy energies of envy, the sting of the evil eye, and the weight of spoken maledictions are dissolved by the manifestation of this divine light. When we anchor the message, "From you alone we seek aid," into the depths of our subconscious, the Almighty, by His permission, unveils the gates of goodness and illuminates the most auspicious path before us. A prayer uttered through the profound realization of Al-Fatiha's 5th verse ascends to the heavens, aligning itself with the frequency of divine acceptance. Understand this mystery. When these 2 verses are recited in unison, they resonate with the celestial light of the names Yafata, the opener, and Yakarim, the most generous. Through this sacred vibration, the blockages within your destiny break apart, allowing you to reach the life your soul has long yearned for. Now, I share with you a profound and secret formula to open the sealed gates of your life. Recite the 129th verse of Surah At-Tawbah 129 times, followed by Surah Al-Fatiha 33 times. Then, offer this prayer from the sanctuary of your heart. O Lord, open every door that has been closed upon me with your ultimate goodness. For you are indeed the best of openers. To fortify this light, perform this rite at dawn, at dusk, and before the silence of sleep. Recite Surah Al-Falaq and Surah An-Nas 7 times each, followed by Ayat al-Kursi. Then, Conclude with the 129th verse of At-Tawbah and Surah Al-Fatiha, 11 times each. As you carry these sacred frequencies into the silence of your sleep, a profound purification begins within the celestial architecture of your soul. Watch closely as the shadows you once mistook for fate dissolve, and the blockages that held you captive begin to transform into pathways of light. My dear friends, remember this. He who recognizes his own insignificance finds the strength to surrender. And for the one who truly surrenders, the book of destiny is rewritten. These two verses, the 129th of At-Tawbah and the 5th of Al-Fatiha, are the ultimate teachers. They guide us to know our limits, to find peace in surrender, and to seek aid from the only source that is eternal. Never forget, in those moments when you feel most helpless, when you feel the world has turned its back, the Almighty is calling to you, inviting you into His divine presence. No matter the storm, no matter the weight upon your heart, turn your gaze toward the infinite. Seek His mercy, for His grace is the only key that can unlock the heart and the heavens alike.